Hi. I don't usually tell stories like this. I'm not good at it, honestly. But this one keeps knocking, so I'm letting it in. They told me to get out of my own house. They called me useless. That came after my son died, but the real beginning was dinner. My name is Callista Rowe, 65. We're in Washington, Pierce County. I've lived in this house long enough to know every sound it makes. That night, I cooked too much. I always do when I'm nervous, even if I don't admit it. The chicken smelled a little burned at the edges. Not bad, just rushed. Daniel barely touched his plate. He kept moving the food around like it was a chore. Kara stood up 3 times. Phone in her hand every time. Kitchen, hallway, back again. She didn't look at either of us when she passed. I noticed. I always notice that stuff. I just don't say anything. That's my stupid habit. Daniel tried to smile. It came out wrong, crooked, like he was tired of pretending. He asked me about my neighbor's dog. Why would he care about that? He never did before. His knee bounced under the table. Tap, tap, tap. Drove me nuts. Halfway through, he reached over and grabbed my hand. Hard. His fingers were cold. That surprised me. He leaned in, close enough that I could smell the coffee on his breath. He whispered, "I transferred $10 million into your account, for safety." I pulled my hand back too fast. I laughed, because that's what I do when something doesn't fit. I told him to stop talking nonsense during dinner. I told him he needed sleep. I told him Kara was right there. He didn't laugh back. He kept his voice low, said the account was only in my name, said it came from selling his shares, said not to mention it, especially not to her. Kara came back in right then, asked if anyone wanted dessert. Her voice was light, almost cheerful. She didn't look at Daniel when she asked. He nodded anyway. Didn't eat it. I should have pushed. I didn't. I swear. Sometimes silence feels easier than the truth. I've done it. Chosen quiet just to keep the table steady for 1 more minute. When they left, Daniel hugged me too long. The kind of hug that makes you uncomfortable because it feels final. 46 hours later, he was dead, and I was still sitting with an unfinished plate, trying to figure out when dinner turned into a warning. I didn't sleep much after that dinner, kept replaying his voice. Not the words. The way he pressed them into me, like he was hiding something sharp in my pocket and trusting me not to cut myself. Daniel called the next morning. Early. Too early for him. "You heard me last night." Right. His voice was steady, but thin, like he was standing somewhere windy. "I heard you." I told him. "I just don't believe you." He exhaled. Long. "It's real." I leaned against the counter. Coffee tasted burnt. I let it. 10 million doesn't just move by accident. It came from the sale. He answered. The rest of my logistics shares. Closed last week. I went quiet. That was real money. He'd talked about selling for months. Always put it off. Always said later. "Why my account?" I asked. "Because it's only yours," he replied. No pause. No joint access. No notifications to anyone else. I felt my stomach drop. "Daniel, what are you doing?" "Protecting you." Then softer. "Protecting what's left." I told him a trust would have made more sense. I used to run payroll. I'm not stupid. "I know," he said. "That's exactly why I didn't." That caught me. I stood straighter. A trust would have triggered paperwork. Lawyers. Questions. His voice dipped. Kara would have seen it. I didn't answer. I didn't have to. The space between his words did enough talking. "She's my wife." I finally muttered, like saying it out loud might fix something. "I know who she is." He shot back. Then he slowed himself down. "Just don't tell her." "Promise me that." I hesitated. "Too long. Promise." He pressed. "I promise." I said. It came out rough. There was a beat. Then, if I'm wrong, nothing changes. If I'm right, you'll be glad you listened. That should have scared me more than it did. Instead, I felt annoyed, like he was overreacting, like I was being dragged into drama I didn't ask for. That's on me. I didn't want to see it yet. Before he hung up, he added one more thing. Casual, almost careless. Don't move the money. Don't call the bank. Just let it sit. I told him to stop talking like that. He laughed. But it didn't land. When the line went dead, I stared at my phone. He was driving when we talked. I could hear that hollow road noise behind his words. A notification blinked on the screen. Account balance updated. The number made my chest tighten. I told myself it was just precaution. Just a son being dramatic. I didn't know yet how quickly secrets travel, or how fast people show their hands once money's in play. The phone rang before sunrise. I answered it wrong. I thought it was Daniel. I even smiled. A man introduced himself. State Patrol, calm voice, too practiced. He asked if I was Callista Rowe. I told him yes. Then corrected myself. Then apologized for no reason. There's been an accident, he went on. Single vehicle, Interstate 5, so I waited for the rest. My body leaned forward like that would help. He didn't soften it. He didn't rush either. He told me my son didn't make it. He used Daniel's full name, like paperwork already knew him better than I did. I sat down on the floor. The tiles felt cold through my robe. I remember that. One detail. That's it. I don't remember crying, but I remember saying, that can't be right, over and over, say, like a broken line. Later, maybe minutes, maybe longer, my phone started buzzing again. Not calls, alerts, one after another. I didn't open them at first. I couldn't. My hands felt stupid, heavy. When I finally looked, it was the bank. Balance update. Security notice. Transfer confirmation I'd already seen once. My chest tightened, sharp and fast. Then Kara called. Her voice was flat, controlled. I heard about Daniel. I didn't answer right away. She kept going. We need to talk. About the account. That snapped something loose. What account? The pause on her end was tiny, but it was there. The one with the 10 million. I pulled the phone away from my ear and stared at it. I swear, my heart actually thumped louder at that moment than when the trooper spoke. How do you know about that? I asked. There was only one way she could know, and it wasn't me. She didn't reply. Not immediately. And that was when I understood this wasn't just grief moving too fast. This was information traveling, quietly, efficiently. Without me, people kept coming. Neighbors, distant cousins, folks I hadn't seen in years. They brought casseroles and soft voices. I nodded. I thanked them. I forgot their names as soon as they walked out. Kara stayed gone most of the day. When she did pass through, she moved fast. No eye contact, no touch. Like grief was contagious and I was coughing, a woman from Daniel's office stopped by. She hugged me too hard. He talked about you all the time, she murmured. I let her hold me up. When she left, the quiet came back heavier than before. That evening, Kara finally appeared in the doorway. She didn't step inside the room. We'll need paperwork, she told the air near my shoulder. There are things to secure. I nodded again. That's what I did then. Nodded, like a habit I couldn't break. She turned away before I could speak. Later, after midnight, I woke to her voice. Sharp, low. It carried down the hall like metal scraping. I stayed still. Listened. Not proud of that, but it's true. You promised. She hissed. No, that's not enough. I need it now. A pause, then louder. Don't tell me to calm down. You don't get to tell me anything. I sat up. My chest felt tight, but steady, focused. I counted breaths. One thing at a time. She paced. I heard it in the floorboards. Back and forth, back and forth. Everything's locked except that, she went on. I can't move it without her. Her voice cracked on that last word, not with sadness, with frustration. I leaned forward, listening harder than I should have. My hands shook, but my head felt clear for the first time since the call. When Kara hung up, the house went quiet again. Not peaceful, watchful. I lay back down and stared at the ceiling. Grief didn't wrap around me like a shield. It left me exposed. And someone in this house knew exactly where to press. They didn't knock. The door just opened, like they already owned the timing. Kara walked in first, sunglasses still on, black coat, clean lines, no red eyes, no hesitation. Behind her was a man I'd never seen before, taller than Daniel. Too relaxed, hands in his pockets like he was checking on a delivery. She didn't introduce him. He's here to make this efficient, she told the room. Her voice was sharp, practiced. I stood up. My legs felt off, like they belonged to someone else. This isn't the day, she laughed. Short. Mean. There's never a good day to clean up a mess. The man leaned against the wall, looked around, smiled at nothing. I noticed his shoes were muddy. That annoyed me more than it should have. I asked Kara where Daniel's things were. She ignored that. You have no claim, she went on. Not here, not on that account, not on anything Daniel left. I felt my jaw lock. Daniel put my name on it. Her face changed. Not surprise, more like relief. Like I'd confirmed something. That's when she raised her voice, loud enough to shake the hallway. Get out, you useless woman. The word useless hit harder than the yelling. It landed clean, personal. The man chuckled. Didn't hide it. You have 30 minutes, Kara continued. Pack whatever you need. We'll change the locks. I stared at her. You can't do that. She stepped closer. Too close. Watch me. I told her there was no trust. No joint access. Only my name. I didn't plan to say that. It slipped. Stupid. Her smile widened. That's temporary, she replied. There's a lawyer outside. He'll explain it slower if you need. The man finally spoke. You really should cooperate. Makes things easier for everyone. I turned to him. You're standing in my kitchen. He shrugged. For now. Kara crossed her arms. Return the money. Leave quietly, or we get ugly. I thought about Daniel gripping my hand, about his voice dropping when he told me not to talk. I felt something shift in my chest. Not courage. Not yet. Just anger finding a spine. I didn't move. Not toward the door. Not toward them. They stood there, waiting for me to disappear on schedule. After they left, the house felt smaller. Not quieter, just tighter, like the walls were waiting for orders. I sat at the table and stared at the dent Daniel's fork had left in the wood. He always pressed too hard when he was thinking. I rubbed it once with my thumb, then stopped. I didn't want to erase it. His voice came back, sharp and clear. Not the sentence. The pause before it. The way he checked the doorway before leaning in. He wasn't being dramatic. He was being careful. $10 million wasn't a gift. It was a line drawn ahead of time. I told myself I should have seen it. I'd worked long enough to recognize panic, dressed up as planning. He hadn't been protecting me. He'd been protecting my position, the space around me. I went to the junk drawer, old cards. Warranty slips, a stupid place. But he'd told me once, years ago, that if he ever needed to hide something, that's where he'd put it. The envelope was still there, thick. My name in his handwriting, slightly crooked at the end. Inside was a business card. No note, just a name and a number. I called before I could overthink it. Evan Mercer's office. This is Callista Row. Daniel told me to call. A pause. Papers moving, then, hold, please. A man came on, older, steady, estate attorney, not family. Just someone Daniel trusted. Ms. Rowe, I've been expecting you. That hit harder than any shouting. Daniel hadn't hoped for the best. He'd planned for the worst. Evan Mercer didn't offer condolences. I noticed that right away. He offered a chair instead. Daniel asked me to be direct with you. He began. His voice was calm, like this was a meeting he'd already run through in his head. So I'll start there. He slid a folder across the desk, thick, heavy. My name typed clean on the tab. This transfer wasn't informal. He continued. It wasn't temporary. It wasn't something your daughter-in-law could unwind. I opened the folder. Pages, stamps, dates. My head buzzed, but I stayed with it. Daniel executed an irrevocable gift. Evan went on. $10 million, fully documented, fully recorded. I swallowed. So she can't just take it. No. He didn't hesitate. She can't touch it. I let out a breath I didn't realize I was holding. Then another thought pushed in. She's threatening me. I told him. Lock changes. Court. Declaring me unfit. Evan nodded once. Like that fit exactly where it was supposed to. Daniel anticipated that. He flipped to a marked page. Red tab. My fingers shook when I touched it. This is an anti-coercion clause. He explained. Any attempt to intimidate you becomes documented coercion. It weakens anything she tries to file and strengthens what we can block. I looked up. Automatically, yes. His tone sharpened slightly. The harder she pushes, the weaker her position becomes. That landed slow, heavy. I pictured Kara's face when she screamed at me. The confidence, the certainty. She already crossed that line. I murmured. Evan met my eyes. Then she's already done damage to herself. I asked him why Daniel didn't tell me all this outright. Why the whispers? Why the half-sentences? He didn't want you burdened before it was necessary, Evan replied. And he didn't want her alerted. I stared back down at the papers. Daniel's signature stared up at me. Steady? Familiar. One more thing. Evan added, Daniel also asked me to document any contact from your daughter-in-law. Dates, words, tone, for what? He closed the folder gently. Because this wasn't just about protecting money. He paused. Let that sit. It was about protecting you from what she might become once the money was out of reach. Kara didn't wait long. She called the next afternoon. Not angry this time. Calm. That scared me more. I've talked to counsel. She opened. Smooth. They think this can be handled quietly. Handled how, I asked. By acknowledging reality. A small pause. Your age. The shock you're in. I gripped the phone tighter. I'm grieving. That's not confusion. She let out a soft laugh. Courts don't always see the difference. I told her I had an attorney. I didn't give the name. That won't stop an evaluation, she replied. They can request one. Especially after a loss like this. I felt my throat tighten. I hated that she could hear it. And Daniel's son, she added. Like it just occurred to her. Stability matters for children. Judges care about that. That was the first time she used him as a sentence instead of a person. You wouldn't. I told her. I don't want to, she answered. But I will if you force me. There it was. The trade. Money for peace. Silence for access. She lowered her voice. Sign control back. Move out quietly. We all move on. I almost agreed. I swear I did. For one ugly second, I imagined it. No calls, no threats. Just empty rooms and a grandson I'd see on holidays if I behaved. If you've never felt yourself shrinking inside a decision, I hope you never do. I'm not signing anything. I told her. The line went quiet, then colder. You're making this harder than it needs to be." When the call ended, my hands shook so badly I dropped the phone. I didn't pick it up right away. I sat there, breathing, letting the fear burn off instead of swallowing it. They weren't trying to win anymore. They were trying to erase me. Pierce County doesn't look like justice from the inside. It looks like folders, chairs, people waiting their turn to be reduced to paperwork. Kara sat 2 rows ahead of me. Her parents flanked her like bookends. The man from my kitchen, her friend, sat farther down, pretending not to know any of them. That lasted about 5 minutes. Evan Mercer leaned toward me. Quiet voice. "Let me talk. You only answer if I ask." I nodded. My hands stayed flat on my knees. I didn't trust them to behave. Kara's attorney stood first. He talked about concern, about grief, about my age. He used the phrase cognitive decline like it was a soft pillow. Kara stared straight ahead, calm, certain. Then Evan rose. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't rush. "Let's start with the money that isn't in dispute," he began. $800,000 removed from Daniel Rowe's operating accounts over 18 months. Kara shifted. "Just a little," Evan continued. "Those transfers were authorized by one person, Kara Rowe, acting in a financial oversight role." Her attorney interrupted. "Relevance," Evan lifted a hand. "Each transfer landed in a shell account connected to a private firm registered to this man." He nodded toward the back. The man's jaw tightened. The judge leaned forward. "Counsel, proceed." Evan placed the statements on the table. Dates, amounts, patterns. No drama, just math. Kara finally turned. "That's not what this hearing is about." Evan met her eyes. "It's about motive," her lawyer whispered to her. "Fast, urgent." The lover stood up halfway, sat back down. Too late. Evan kept going. When Daniel died, the primary income stream ended. The next move was control. When control failed, the strategy shifted to incapacitation. The room went still. The judge looked at Kara. "Is this accurate?" She didn't answer. Not right away. Her confidence drained like a bad seal. Her attorney asked for a recess. The judge shook her head. Petition denied. The judge ruled. "This matter is closed." Kara's mother grabbed her arm. Too tight. Her father wouldn't look at me. I didn't feel victorious. I felt hollow, like something heavy had been set down, but not returned. Daniel was still gone. That didn't change. But the lies stopped breathing that day. I went back to the house the same afternoon. No victory lap. No speech. I unlocked the door and stepped inside like I'd always done. Kara didn't call. That mattered more than any ruling. Evan met me the next day. We kept it short. I told him what I wanted. "The house stays in my name," I told him. "No shared control," he nodded. "Done. And my grandson gets a trust." I added, "Education, health, real guardrails, understood. Kara gets support." I continued. Slower, monthly, limited. No access to the principal, not for her, for my grandson's stability, so she can't weaponize hunger against him. He looked up. "That's firm. So am I." When Kara finally spoke to me, it was brief. "I'll follow the terms." "You will," I replied. Nothing else. No forgiveness. No invitation back into my head. Here's the thing I learned, and I'm saying this plain because it matters. Grief doesn't make you weak, but it does make you visible. People show you who they are when they think you can't push back. Boundaries aren't cruel. They're how you survive without turning into someone you don't recognize. If this story hit close to home, take a second. Like the video, drop a comment. Subscribe if you want more truths like this. It helps this channel keep telling them, I didn't win, I didn't heal, I didn't move on, I stayed. And that was enough.